Amara never expected the betrayal to happen over a bowl of oatmeal. "I am taking your name off the main accounts," Malik said. He didn't yell. He didn't slam the table. He said it casually, smooth, like he was ordering a side of fries. He adjusted his silk tie in the hallway mirror, admiring his own reflection. "I make the real money here, Amara. It is only fair I control where it goes." Amara froze. Her spoon hovered in the air. She looked at Malik, fresh in his tailored suit, looking every bit the successful man. A success she had carefully engineered. "Excuse me?" she asked softly. "You heard me." Malik checked his watch, not even bothering to make eye contact. "You treat my earnings like a bottomless pit. I need to build wealth, real wealth, and I cannot do that with you draining the account on whatever it is you do all day." This is where the story truly begins. Before we dive in, what time is it where you are? Which country are you watching from? Leave a comment and let me know. And please hit that like button and subscribe to become part of the Family Fractures community for more inspiring stories. Malik turned to her, his face serious. "I am the provider, Amara. You are the support. That is how it works." Amara slowly lowered her spoon. 3 years. For 3 years, she had let this man believe he was the king of the castle. She looked at him, really looked at him. He saw a wife who worked from home, a woman who tapped on a laptop in her pajamas with messy hair. He saw a hobby. He didn't see the truth. "So you want full financial control?" Amara asked, her voice steady. "I want order," Malik corrected, grabbing his briefcase. "I pay the mortgage. I pay the car notes. I pay for this lifestyle. You just exist in it." Amara felt a cold calm wash over her. It was the same icy calm she felt before closing a 6-figure deal. Malik didn't know who she really was. To him, she was just Amara, the girl he married when he was a junior associate. To the tech world, she was A.J. Williams, a silent consultant for 3 major startups. Her little laptop job brought in triple his annual salary. But she kept it quiet. She put her money in trust funds, heavy investments, and offshore accounts, living off his salary to make him feel like the big man he so desperately needed to be. She paid the hidden costs, the insurance, the vacations he thought were deals, the repairs, the debts his mother racked up. But today, that ended. "Okay," Amara said. Malik blinked. He stopped halfway to the door. He was ready for a fight. He had a whole speech prepared about fiscal responsibility and adulting. "Okay?" he asked, suspicious. "Yes," Amara said, standing up. "You want to be the sole provider? Go ahead. I will step back. I won't touch a dime of your money again. I will handle my own personal needs, and you handle the household, since it is your house." Malik smiled. It was a smug, satisfied smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Good. I am glad you finally understand your place. It is about time you learned what things actually cost." He grabbed his keys, blew her a kiss that felt more like an insult, and walked out the door. Amara stood in the silence of the luxury kitchen she had paid to renovate. She picked up her phone. She wasn't texting a friend to cry. She was opening her banking app, the real one. Malik thought he just secured his empire. He had no idea he just fired his biggest investor. The mortgage was on autopay from the joint account, but the funds came from a transfer she made every month. She canceled the transfer. Malik wanted to be the provider. He was about to find out exactly how heavy that crown was. Malik didn't cook up this foolishness on his own. It was planted. His mother, Mama Sade, had been whispering in his ear for months. She was a woman who believed a wife should be seen and not heard, and definitely not spending. Every Sunday dinner she would gas him up. "You work too hard, my son," she would say, sipping her tea while Amara cleaned the kitchen. "A man of your status shouldn't be carrying dead weight. You need to protect your assets." She never yelled, but her words were like poison. She looked at Amara's chill vibe and saw laziness. She saw Amara at home and assumed she was watching TV, not managing global servers. At family gatherings, Mama Sade would praise Malik's corporate empire. She talked about his promotion like he had invented the internet. Amara sat right there eating her jollof rice in silence, feeling like a ghost in her own family. When Malik got the idea to separate the money, Mama Sade clapped. Finally, she told him, now you can be the true head of the house. Don't let her drain you. Malik ate it up. By the time he walked into that kitchen to cut Amara off, he truly believed he was doing something brave. He thought he was trimming the fat. He didn't realize that fat was the only thing keeping his lifestyle from starving. 2 days later, they sat in the cold, gray office of the bank downtown. The banker, a nice lady named Mrs. Robinson, looked over her glasses at them. So, you want to remove Amara from the primary joint account and stop the automatic transfers? She asked. Yes, Malik answered fast. He didn't hesitate. Amara just sat there, hands folded, face smooth. Mrs. Robinson typed on her keyboard, pausing to look at Amara. She had seen this movie before. She knew how it usually ended. And the household bills? Mrs. Robinson asked. I will handle them, Malik said, puffing out his chest. My account, my bills. Amara can handle her own personal hobbies. Amara didn't flinch. That works for me, she said, but let's make it official. She pulled out her phone. We should track it, to be fair. Malik laughed a little. Track what? The peanuts you contribute? Everything, Amara said. If we're separating, we separate all the way. I'll make a spreadsheet. Every dime spent, we log it. Total transparency. Malik shrugged. Fine, make your little spreadsheet. It won't change the fact that I pay for this life. They signed the papers. The heavy click of the enter key sounded like a judge's gavel. The joint account was gone. Malik smirked as they walked out to the parking lot. He felt lighter, richer, freer. He looked at Amara and saw a woman who just lost her meal ticket. He was already calculating the money he would save for a new sports car. But Amara wasn't looking at him. She was looking at her phone, activating a dormant account he knew nothing about. Malik thought he had just won the championship. He didn't know he had just walked onto the field of a game he didn't even know how to play. The changes started small, so small he didn't even notice them until it was too late. The shift didn't happen with a bang. It happened in the quiet moments. Amara didn't make a big announcement. She didn't argue. She just stopped doing the things she had always done. On the first night of their new arrangement, Amara made dinner. She grilled a perfect piece of salmon, roasted some asparagus, and plated it beautifully. She sat down at the island and started eating. Malik walked in, loosening his tie, expecting the usual aroma of a full meal waiting for him. He saw Amara eating. He looked at the stove. It was clean. He looked at the counter. It was empty. "Where's the rest?" Malik asked, confused. He walked over to the pots, lifting lids that weren't there. "There is no rest," Amara said, not even looking up from her plate. "I bought this salmon with my personal account. I cooked it for myself." Malik scoffed. "Seriously? You're going to be petty like that?" "It's not petty, Malik. It's business," Amara replied, taking a calm sip of water. "You wanted separate finances. You wanted to handle your own needs. I am respecting your wishes." Malik shook his head. "Fine. I don't need you to cook for me." He opened the fridge. He stared. Usually it was stocked with fresh produce, marinated meats, and his favorite expensive juices. Now it had milk, eggs, and Amara's specific items labeled with blue tape. Malik grabbed a bag of frozen nuggets from the back of the freezer, something that had been there for 6 months, and threw them in the microwave. They came out soggy. He ate them standing up, glaring at Amara's back. He thought he was proving a point. He was really just eating rubbery chicken. The next morning was worse. Malik went for the coffee pot. Empty. No fresh beans in the grinder, no specialized oat milk he liked. He had to drink the instant stuff from the back of the pantry. It tasted like dirt and regret. Then came the grocery run. Since Amara wasn't stocking the house, Malik had to go to the store on Saturday. He hadn't been grocery shopping in 3 years. He walked down the aisles, tossing things in the cart without looking at prices. Steaks, brand-name snacks, fancy soda. When he got to the register, the total made his eyes pop. $240? He asked the cashier. For 3 bags? Prices went up, sir, the cashier said, popping gum. Malik swiped his card, annoyed. He came home and realized he forgot the basics: dish soap, paper towels, and trash bags. He had spent over $200 and still didn't have anything to clean with. That night, Amara opened the shared spreadsheet on her tablet. "Ready to log?" she asked. Malik grumbled and tossed her the receipt. She typed it in. Malik, groceries, $242.15. Amara, groceries, $65. "You spent 4 times what I did," Amara noted, her voice neutral. "I bought quality," Malik snapped. "I'm not eating rabbit food." But deep down, he was already feeling the itch of irritation. He was used to the fridge just being full. He was used to the house just smelling good. Now the house smelled like stale trash because he forgot to buy bags, and his wallet was lighter than he expected. He told himself it was just a learning curve. He told himself he could handle it. But he had no idea that the grocery bill was the smallest of his problems. The real bills, the ones he never even knew existed, were about to start rolling in, and they were going to hit him hard. The spreadsheet was filling up fast, and Malik was starting to sweat. It wasn't just the groceries, it was the stuff he never even thought about: paper towels, dish soap, trash bags, light bulbs. Malik had never noticed how many small things kept a home running. Now he was paying for every single one of them, and he was feeling it. But the real breaking point wasn't the bank account. It was the laundry room. Wednesday morning, Malik stormed into the kitchen. "Where are my white shirts?" he demanded. "I have a presentation with the board today." Amara didn't look up from her iPad. She was sipping a green smoothie she made with her own blender. "They're in the hamper," she said calmly. "I washed my clothes yesterday. Yours are where you left them." Malik stared at her. He was used to his shirts magically appearing in the closet, crisp and ironed. "You didn't wash them?" "Separate lives, Malik," Amara reminded him. "I'm not the maid." Malik cursed under his breath and grabbed a pile of clothes. He marched to the laundry room and shoved everything into the machine: white dress shirts, navy blue suit pants, red gym shorts, and a couple of dark towels. He poured a random amount of detergent in, hit hot, and walked away. He thought he handled it. An hour later, he pulled the load out. He froze. His crisp white shirts weren't white anymore. They were a sad, patchy shade of pink. And his expensive wool suit pants, they had shrunk so much they looked like capris for a toddler. "No, no, no!" Malik yelled. He held up a tiny pant leg, his face twisting in horror. "What happened to this?" Amara walked by, carrying a basket of perfectly folded, bright white towels. She glanced at the disaster in his hands. "You washed wool in hot water and mixed reds with whites?" she asked. "I didn't know," Malik shouted. "It's a machine. It's supposed to clean them." "It did clean them," Amara said, a hint of amusement in her voice. "It also ruined them. I've been separating your loads and dry cleaning your suits for 3 years, Malik. You just never noticed." She walked away, leaving him standing there with his pink shirt and high-water pants. He had to wear an old, tight shirt to the meeting. He felt ridiculous. He felt small. By Friday, Malik was exhausted. He wasn't tired from his job. He was tired from existing. He had to scrub the toilet because the cleaning lady, who Amara used to pay, stopped coming. He had to vacuum. He had to remember to take the trash out, which he forgot, so the garage smelled like rotting fruit. He sat down at the table, staring at the spreadsheet on his laptop. Malik, dry cleaning, replacement suit, $600. Malik, cleaning supplies, $45. Malik, takeout, too tired to cook, $150. He rubbed his temples. He was bleeding money, and his house was a mess. But he still wouldn't admit he was wrong. He told himself this was just a rough patch. He could fix this. He just needed to get organized. He was about to close his laptop when Amara walked in. "Don't forget," she said casually, "your sister Zara and her husband are coming for Sunday dinner. They're expecting your famous host skills." Malik's stomach dropped. He had completely forgotten. Zara was critical. She was bougie. She noticed everything. If the house wasn't perfect and the food wasn't gourmet, she would never let him live it down. Malik looked at the messy kitchen, the empty fridge, and his pink laundry. He was in deep trouble, and he had no idea that Sunday wasn't just going to be a bad dinner. It was going to be the moment his entire facade came crashing down. Sunday arrived, and Malik was a wreck. He spent the morning running around the grocery store like a headless chicken. He grabbed pre-made potato salad, a rotisserie chicken that looked a little dry, and a frozen pie. He was sweating. He was used to Amara spending 2 days marinating meat and chopping fresh vegetables. He was used to the house smelling like spices and love. Today, it smelled like stress and bleach because he cleaned the bathroom at the last second. At 4 p.m., an hour before guests were due, Malik cracked. He found Amara reading a book in the sunroom, looking unbothered and radiant. "Amara, please," Malik said, his voice desperate. "Just help me plate this stuff. Make it look nice. Zara will roast me if she sees plastic containers." Amara turned a page. "I would love to help," she said softly, "but remember, you said you wanted to manage your own social obligations. You said my contribution was just support. I wouldn't want to overstep." Malik ground his teeth. "This is my sister." "And this is your dinner," Amara replied. "Good luck." At 5 p.m. sharp, the doorbell rang. Zara breezed in, looking expensive as always, followed by her husband, David. She took one sniff of the air and frowned. "Where is the jollof?" she asked immediately. "I don't smell the spices." Malik forced a smile. "We're doing something lighter today, modern." He led them to the dining table. It wasn't set with the good china because Malik didn't know where it was kept. He had paper plates. Zara stared at the table. She looked at the cold rotisserie chicken sitting in its plastic container. She looked at the store-bought potato salad with the price tag still on it. "Malik," Zara said, her voice dangerous, "what is this?" "It's dinner," Malik said, his voice cracking slightly. "I handled it today." "Where is Amara's cooking?" Zara demanded, looking at her sister-in-law. Amara smiled politely. "Malik and I have separate finances and separate responsibilities now. He felt he should handle his own guests." The room went silent. David coughed awkwardly. Zara looked from the sad chicken to her brother. She didn't yell, she laughed, a dry, humorless sound. "You," Zara pointed a manicured finger at Malik, "you thought you could replace Amara. Malik, you can't even replace a light bulb without calling Mom." Malik's face burned. "I am handling my business, Zara. I am the head of this house." "You're the head of a circus," Zara snapped. "We are leaving. I'm not eating this dry bird." She stood up and walked over to Amara, kissing her cheek. "I don't know how you put up with him, sis. Come have dinner with us next week, without him." As the door clicked shut, Malik stood alone in the quiet dining room. The silence was loud. He looked at the uneaten food, the cheap plates, the empty chairs. For the first time, his anger cracked and something else peeked through. Fear. He wasn't just losing the domestic battle, he was losing his dignity. He turned to Amara, ready to blame her, ready to shout, but Amara was already walking toward her home office. She came back a moment later holding a thick blue folder. She placed it on the table right next to the cold chicken. "Since we are talking about handling business," Amara said, her voice ice cold, "it's time you saw the real numbers." Malik stared at the folder. He didn't want to open it. He had a sinking feeling that whatever was inside was going to hurt more than Zara's insults. Malik stared at the blue folder like it was a bomb. He didn't want to touch it. He wanted to go back to 3 weeks ago when his biggest problem was deciding which tie to wear. But Amara wasn't letting him go back. She sat down, her posture perfect, her face unreadable. "Open it," she said. Malik hesitated. His hand shook just a little as he flipped the cover. This is where the story truly begins. Before we dive in, what time is it where you are? Which country are you watching from? Leave a comment and let me know. And please hit that like button and subscribe to become part of the Family Fractures community for more inspiring stories. Malik looked at the first page. It was a bank statement, but not one he recognized. "What is this?" he asked. "That is the mortgage," Amara said. "The real one." Malik frowned. "I pay the mortgage, $2,800 a month. Auto draft." Amara shook her head slowly. "You pay the interest and part of the principal. The total monthly cost, including property taxes, HOA fees, and insurance, is $4,600. I have been covering the difference for 3 years." Malik's mouth went dry. That's impossible." "Turn the page," Amara commanded. He did. He saw credit card statements, Amex Black, paid in full every month. "Your trips," Amara listed off. "Cabo, Dubai, the ski trip to Aspen. You thought you were getting deals because you have a good travel agent?" Malik nodded dumbly. "I am the agent, Malik. You paid for the flights. I paid for the 5-star upgrades, the private dinners, the excursions. That deal cost me $45,000 last year alone." Malik felt the room spinning. He turned the page again. This one hurt the most. It was a list of transfers labeled Sade Assistance Fund. "My mother?" Malik whispered. "Mom is good with money. She has her own pension." Amara let out a short, sharp sigh. "Your mother has a gambling problem, Malik. Bingo, slots, investments in scams. She calls me twice a month crying. I pay her utility bills. I paid off her car note so she wouldn't lose it. I kept it quiet because I didn't want to embarrass you." Malik slumped in his chair. He looked at the bottom line, the total amount Amara had contributed to their shared life over 3 years. The number was staggering. It was more than he had made in the last 5 years combined. "I thought," Malik's voice was barely a squeak, "I thought you were freeloading." "You thought I was a liability," Amara said, closing the folder with a snap. "But I was the asset. I was the safety net you were bouncing on. And now that net is gone. You wanted to be the man? You wanted to control the finances? Congratulations, Malik. All that debt, all those bills, all that weight, it's yours now." Malik looked up at her, his eyes wide with panic. "But I can't afford this house alone. I can't afford Mom's bills." Amara shrugged, picking up her folder. "Then I guess you'd better start budgeting, or maybe ask your mother for a loan." She walked out of the room, leaving Malik alone with the truth. He wasn't the king of his castle. He was a squatter in a kingdom his wife had built. And just when he thought it couldn't get worse, his phone started ringing. It was a number he didn't want to see. It was the bank, and they weren't calling to say hello. Malik stared at the phone screen. It wasn't just the bank, it was the fraud department. He answered, his voice trembling. "Hello?" A crisp voice on the other end didn't waste time. "Mr. Johnson, we are calling to alert you that your mortgage payment has been returned for insufficient funds. You are currently overdrawn by $1,200. Malik felt like he had been punched in the gut. That's a mistake," he stammered. "I transferred the money." "The transfer from the secondary account, Mrs. Johnson's account, was canceled," the agent replied. "Would you like to pay with a different card?" Malik looked at his wallet. He knew every card in there was maxed out from his grocery shopping and the new suit he ruined. I will call you back," he whispered, and hung up. This is where the story truly begins. Before we dive in, what time is it where you are? Which country are you watching from? Leave a comment and let me know. And please hit that like button and subscribe to become part of the Family Fractures community for more inspiring stories. He sat in the dark living room, the silence pressing in on him. He had no money, he had no backup, and he had a mortgage due in 24 hours. Just as he put his head in his hands, the phone rang again. This time, the picture on the screen made his stomach turn. Mama Sade. He let it ring 3 times before answering. "Hi, Mama," he said, trying to sound normal. "Malik," her voice boomed, "why have you not sent the transfer? The bingo hall is having a special tonight, and my electric bill is due." Malik squeezed his eyes shut. For years, Amara had quietly handled this. Every request, every emergency, Amara paid it and let Malik take the credit. Now there was no credit to take. "Mama, Malik started, his throat dry. "I can't send it this month." There was a long silence on the other end. "What do you mean you can't?" Mama Sade's voice dropped, losing its warmth. "You are a big executive. You are the head of the house. Don't tell me that girl is keeping your money from you." "It's not her money, Mama," Malik snapped, the stress finally breaking him. "It never was. She was paying you. She was paying for everything." The silence stretched out again, heavy and awkward. "What are you saying?" Mama Sade asked slowly. "I am saying I am broke, Mama. I can't pay your electric bill. I can't even pay my own." Mama Sade didn't offer comfort. She didn't offer to help. She clicked her tongue. "Well, that is disappointing. I told you a man must secure his house. Clearly you have let things fall apart." The line went dead. Malik stared at the phone. The woman who told him to take control just abandoned him the second he lost it. He walked into the kitchen, looking for Amara. He didn't know what he needed. Forgiveness? A loan? A miracle? He found Amara in the hallway, putting on her coat. She looked sharp, professional, ready to leave. "Where are you going?" Malik asked, his voice sounding like a child's. "Business trip," Amara said, checking her reflection. "San Francisco. I'll be gone for 4 days." 4 days? Malik panicked. "But the mortgage, the bills, what am I supposed to do?" Amara turned to him, her hand on the doorknob. "You wanted to be independent, Malik. Figure it out." She opened the door. "Oh, and don't wait up. I blocked my schedule." The door closed. The lock clicked. Malik was completely alone. He looked around the house that was slowly becoming a prison. He had 24 hours to come up with $4,000 or he was going to lose everything. Desperate times called for desperate measures. Malik grabbed his keys. He wasn't going to work. He was going to a place he swore he would never go back to ask a favor from someone he despised. But he had no choice left. Malik pulled his flashy luxury sedan into the cracked driveway of a dusty auto repair shop on the south side of the city. He hated this place. It smelled like oil, stale coffee, and hard work. It belonged to his uncle Tunde. For years, Malik had mocked Tunde. He called him a grease monkey and made fun of his dirty fingernails at family barbecues. Malik used to brag, "I work with my mind, not my back." But today, Malik's mind was empty, and his pockets were even emptier. This is where the story truly begins. Before we dive in, what time is it where you are? Which country are you watching from? Leave a comment and let me know. And please hit that like button and subscribe to become part of the Family Fractures community for more inspiring stories. Malik stepped out of the car, trying to avoid the puddles in his Italian loafers. Uncle Tunde was under the hood of an old Toyota. He slid out on a creeper, wiping his hands on a rag. He didn't look surprised. "Well, well," Tunde said, his voice gravelly, "the CEO has come to visit the peasants." Malik forced a smile. It was painful. "Hey, Uncle T, just Just wanted to check on family?" Tunde laughed. It was a loud, booming laugh that made Malik flinch. "Family? You haven't called me in 2 years, boy. Cut the act. What do you want?" Malik swallowed his pride. It tasted like ash. "I need a loan," he whispered. "Just a short-term thing. Liquidity issue. $4,000. Tunde stood up. He wasn't tall, but he looked strong. He looked at Malik's suit, his watch, his car. "You driving a car worth $80,000 and you begging me for rent money?" Tunde asked. "It's complicated," Malik stammered. "Amara and I are restructuring." "Restructuring," scoffed Tunde. "Is that what they call being broke now?" Tunde walked over to a metal cabinet. Malik's heart lifted. He thought Tunde was getting cash. Instead, Tunde pulled out a folded piece of paper. He handed it to Malik. "I can't give you money, Malik. I know what you did. Mama Sade told the whole family you took control. Looks like you lost control." Malik looked at the paper. It wasn't a check. It was a job application for a mechanic's assistant. Starting pay, $15 an hour. "If you need money, you can work," Tunde said, eyes hard. "You can sweep the floors. You can learn what real work is." "I am an executive," Malik shouted, throwing the paper on the ground. "I don't sweep floors." Tunde stepped closer, right in Malik's face. "You are a beggar in a suit," Tunde said quietly, "and until you learn respect, you will always be poor. Now get off my lot before I tow that car you can't afford." Malik scrambled back to his car, his face burning with shame. He peeled out of the lot, tires screeching, Tunde's laughter following him. He drove aimlessly for hours, terrified to go home. When the sun finally set, he had nowhere else to go. He drove back to the house, hoping, praying that maybe the bank had made a mistake. Maybe the lights would be on. Maybe dinner would be ready. He pulled into the driveway. The house was dark, pitch black. But that wasn't the worst part. As his headlights swept across the front porch, he saw something that made his blood freeze. There was a neon orange sticker on the front door, and parked right behind him, blocking him in, was a tow truck. The driver hopped out, holding a clipboard. "Mr. Johnson?" the driver asked. "We're here for the vehicle." Malik looked from the truck to the dark house. The walls were closing in, and for the first time he realized there was no one coming to save him. "Wait!" Malik yelled, grabbing the door handle of his luxury sedan. "I can pay! Just give me a week!" The tow truck driver didn't even look up from his clipboard. "Bank's orders, buddy. You're 3 months behind on the lease." Malik froze. 3 months? He thought he was only 1 month late. Then it hit him. Amara had been covering the gap on his car payments, too. She had been quietly fixing his mistakes before he even made them. The driver hooked up the car, the chains rattling like a prison sentence. Malik stood on the sidewalk in his expensive suit, watching his status symbol get dragged away down the street. This is where the story truly begins. Before we dive in, what time is it where you are? Which country are you watching from? Leave a comment and let me know. And please hit that like button and subscribe to become part of the Family Fractures community for more inspiring stories. He turned around and walked to his front door. He fumbled for his house keys, his hands shaking. He unlocked the door and flipped the switch in the hallway. Click. Nothing happened. He flipped it again. Click, click. Darkness. Malik groaned. No, not the lights, too. He pulled out his phone to check the electric company app, but his screen was dim, 4% battery. He had forgotten to charge it in the car. The house was silent, cold, and dark. The castle he wanted to rule was now just a tomb. For the next 3 days, Malik lived like a ghost in his own home. He took cold showers because the gas bill wasn't paid. He ate stale crackers and peanut butter by candlelight because the fridge was warm and everything inside had spoiled. He couldn't go to work. Without his car, he couldn't get to the office, and his ego wouldn't let him take the bus. He sat on the floor of the living room, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the wall. The silence forced him to think. For the first time in years, he didn't have his mother's voice in his ear telling him he was a king. He didn't have his job title to hide behind. He just had the cold, hard truth. He remembered every time Amara had paid for dinner and slid him the card so he looked like the big man. He remembered how she handled the repairs, the taxes, the family gifts. He had called her a freeloader. He had called her a burden. But sitting there in the dark, hungry and alone, Malik finally realized the truth. He wasn't the foundation of this family. He was just the decoration. For the fourth evening, the front door opened. Light spilled into the hallway from the street lamps outside. Amara walked in. She was dragging a small suitcase. She looked fresh, rested, and sharp. She flipped the light switch, and nothing happened. She sighed, pulled a flashlight from her purse, and shined it on Malik. He shielded his eyes. He looked terrible, unshaven, wrinkled clothes, hollow eyes. "You're back," Malik croaked. His voice was rough. "I am," Amara said, her voice neutral. She didn't run to him. She didn't ask if he was okay. She set her bag down. "I came to get the rest of my things." Malik scrambled to his feet. "Amara, please. The car is gone. The lights are out. I can't do this." He took a step toward her. "I messed up. I know I messed up." He expected her to soften. He expected her to say, "It's okay, I'll fix it," like she always did. He expected the checkbook to come out. But Amara didn't reach for her wallet. She reached into her bag and pulled out a single, thick envelope. She placed it on the table between them. "I know you messed up, Malik," she said, "but I'm not here to turn the lights back on. I'm here to show you exactly what it costs to turn them off for good." Malik looked at the envelope. It was sealed with a legal stamp. His heart stopped. He thought he had hit rock bottom, but Amara was about to show him that there was a basement. Malik's trembling fingers tore open the envelope. He pulled out the documents, squinting in the dim beam of the flashlight. At the top, in bold letters, it read, "Petition for dissolution of marriage. Divorce papers." Malik felt the air leave his lungs. He looked at Amara, terrified. You're leaving me?" he whispered. "Over money?" Amara shook her head slowly. "Not over money, Malik. Over respect. You didn't just cut off my access to the accounts. You tried to cut off my value. You wanted to make me small so you could feel big." This is where the story truly begins. Before we dive in, what time is it where you are? Which country are you watching from? Leave a comment and let me know. And please hit that like button and subscribe to become part of the Family Fractures community for more inspiring stories. "I haven't signed them yet," Amara said, her voice steady, "but I'm ready to. I don't need your salary, Malik. I never did. I need a partner, and if you want a servant, you can hire one, but you can't afford me." Malik dropped the papers on the table. He looked around the dark house, the symbol of his failure. Then he looked at Amara, the woman who had quietly held the sky up while he complained about the clouds. The arrogance drained out of him, leaving only shame. Tears welled up in his eyes, real tears. "I'm sorry," he choked out. "I was so worried about being the man of the house that I forgot how to be a husband. I didn't see you, Amara. I see you now." He didn't ask her to pay the bills, Malik. He didn't ask for a loan. He just sat there, head in his hands, crying in the dark. For the first time, he wasn't trying to win. He was surrendering. Amara watched him for a long moment. She saw the change. It wasn't just fear, it was regret. She pulled out her phone. She tapped the screen a few times. A minute later, the hallway light flickered and buzzed to life. The hum of the refrigerator started up in the kitchen. Malik looked up, blinking in the sudden brightness. "I just paid the electric bill," Amara said, putting her phone away, "and the past due on the car lease." Malik opened his mouth to say thank you, but she cut him off. "It is a loan, Malik, with interest. You will pay me back every cent, and you will apologize to your Uncle Tunde, and you will take that job if you have to." Malik nodded vigorously. "I will. I'll do whatever it takes." 6 months later, the kitchen smelled like garlic and roasted chicken, and this time Amara wasn't the one cooking. Malik was at the stove, wearing an apron, checking a recipe on his phone. He looked tired, but it was a good tired, the kind that comes from honest work. He had kept his corporate job, but picked up extra consulting hours to pay Amara back. He did his own laundry, he scrubbed the floors. The doorbell rang. It was Mama Sade. She walked in, looking around suspiciously. She saw Malik chopping vegetables, while Amara was sitting at the island answering emails. Mama Sade frowned. "Malik," she said, "why are you in the kitchen? That is woman's work." Malik put the knife down. He wiped his hands. In the past, he would have agreed. He would have laughed. Today, he walked over to his mother and kissed her cheek. "No, Mama," he said firmly. "This is family work. Amara is not my maid. She is my wife. And if you can't respect that, you can't eat at this table." Mama Sade's mouth fell open. She looked at Amara, waiting for her to gloat, but Amara just smiled, calm and kind. "Welcome, Mama," Amara said. "Dinner is almost ready." Mama Sade sat down, quiet for the first time in her life. She realized the game had changed. Later that night, after the dishes were done by Malik, he and Amara stood on the balcony. "I sent the final transfer," Malik said. "The debt is cleared." Amara nodded. "Thank you." "Can we go back to a joint account now?" Malik asked tentatively. Amara looked at the city lights. "Not yet," she said. "Trust takes longer to build than credit scores." She turned to him and took his hand. "But we're getting there." Malik squeezed her hand. He didn't have total control anymore. He didn't have his ego. But standing there beside the woman who really knew him, he finally felt like a rich man. Some stories end with a breakup. This one ended with a wake-up call. If this story spoke to you, like, share, and comment partnership down below. Sometimes you have to lose everything to realize what really matters. Thanks for watching The Family Fractures. Don't forget to subscribe.